Good Sunday afternoon, Keto Rebooters. My name is Coach Rob DeBoer, and I am here to talk about the season and how we all probably most likely have a reason to reboot this month. As you know, Keto Reboots are on sale now through December the 6th. And I just wanted to bring on our CEO, Brian Underwood, and talk briefly about this new Keto Reboot XL and what we have our hands on. So give me just a minute. Anyhow, hope everyone's doing well. If you haven't laid your eyes on the Keto Reboot XL package, hopefully you'll do so. But we just want to dive in. I've had a lot of questions come up. As you know, hey buddy, how are you?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing good. I'll raise it up a little bit.
You're doing great.
How are you doing?
Yeah, awesome.
Good.
Hey, thanks for joining us. So,
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great. So,
got my earbuds in, Rob.
You sound great.
I got my earbuds
Everybody tuning in. What's up, Barclay Bishop? What's up, Chris White? What's up, everyone? So, I wanted to bring our CEO, Brian Underwood, on because there is a reason this season to reboot. And, you know, it's hard to believe that we've gone through a year of this and the numbers continue to grow. This is literally tens of thousands of people around the world choosing to go without food for 60 hours. And Brian, just wanted to thank you for jumping on. And sometimes it's neat to get the corporate perspective. You know, you guys have been very much engaged and we appreciate that. But to get the perspective of this new Keto Reboot XL package, and really what the goal is. You know, so many people don't take advantage of the the ability to optimize after each reboot. So kind of give us your thought, your mindset, what your feelings were coming into this reboot and beginning to offer the XL package.
Well, you know, first of all, I appreciate it, Rob. And it's funny, you know, my perspective is always what's working and listening. So it's kind of funny. I get a text from Rob last night. He's like, hey, dude, be nice to get an update whenever we launch something really quick. But like literally it was spur of the moment. And the reason it was is a lot of times we make decisions based on the need of the field instead of waiting to plan it out for 90 days. And we did this very, very quickly. And then it fell into a weekend where, you know, one of the things Rob said, one of the feedbacks was really over, I guess, probably 3 or 4 months, was really getting people onboarded after the reboot. And so people reboot, and that's awesome, right? And then I want you all to think about this is someone's going through the reboot, they buy the reboot kit, but then when the reboot's over, you actually have to go through another cycle of engaging to say, okay, well, now get your ketones, and then it could put them out of pocket without ketones for 2 or 3 weeks, if that makes sense to everyone. And so Rob's been pushing me along with a lot of the promoters, a lot of the leaders within this group in the company like Shane and, you know, Dustin and just a lot of you. And so one of the things that was mentioned last week, and it was just perfect timing, maybe it was sleep deprivation, is listen, is there any possible way that on the front end that we can give someone an option that's a brand new rebooter to not only buy the reboot package, but go ahead and buy something to where they can actually sustain ketones in their system without having to wait a week to order or having to then go through the process of deciding what to order to keep the journey going. And I love that Boston hat, by the way, Rob. So anyway, is the thing that I had a talk yesterday with someone that is a lot like Rob. He knows as much as biochemists know about the human body and nutrition. And he's like, look, give me your take on ketones. I said, everyone has it backwards. I said, the reason we've positioned ourselves as a company, diets are different. Look, I'm not going to get into a philosophy of telling someone how to eat or how not to eat, because there's so many variables that go into it. Someone can't say the ketogenic diet's a bad diet. Are you freaking kidding me? If a nutritionist tells you that, or an expert tells you that, then it should clue you in that they're not an expert. The reason why is everything has application in the world based on its context, right? And so for me and through our journey, Here's the thing that I know for everyone experiencing this. The reason the reboot's so great is it puts your body into a reset category. It gets your cells, it gets your tissues ready to start anew, right? And for some of us, we need it. We're so toxic, you know, we've never done this. And Rob does an incredible job along with all the other reboot coaches and directors of explaining it. But to me, is the thing that you cannot deny is that ketones are a fuel, period, end of statement. And so you got to understand the origin of the ketogenic diet was for medical applications. It was for people with epilepsy. And so for someone to say, well, no one should ever do the ketogenic diet, I mean, that's crazy, right? And for some people that are compliant with it, there's a lot of other attributes to it as well. But for me, if I was doing it, the only reason that I would want to do it is so I could endogenously create ketones as well. And here's something that a lot of people don't know, Rob, is that even someone that's compliant on a ketogenic diet, they still cannot endogenously, I would say 90% of them can't endogenously create enough ketones to keep their energy levels high, right? Partly because they don't know how to take in the proper amount of fat. And even when they do, there's other things that limit the ketone production. I'll give you an example. You know, and I know that I'm getting into the Excel program, but I think it's important for people to understand why the reboot's so important, because it puts your body into a state of resetting, you know, optimizing your metabolics, being able to use ketones as a fuel. And so, like, you know, if you go read 10 books on the ketogenic diet, they all give you different methodologies of how to eat. Like, it's like some people say cheese. Well, the fact is that most cheese out there has trace elements of histamine. 90% of the people have somewhere an allergic reaction to histamine. Histamine's in your body. It could limit your ketone production endogenously, which means if you're even in a ketogenic state, eating the ketogenic diet, and you're finding your energy levels going up and down, you should be using our product to keep those energy levels high. So for me, even if you're eating 50% carbs, 50% protein, I don't care how you're eating. The fact is this: you should have ketones in your blood at a high level throughout the course of a day. And when you cleanse your body, you know, when you do a reboot, your tissues will adapt and they'll use more of the ketones regardless of your diet. Now, obviously, if you do some carb restriction, low carb environment, your body will learn to use more of the ketones. And over time, the more ketones are prevalent, the more your body learns how to use them. That's why we call it a signaling effect. Ketones are signalers. And so for us, you know, part of, to me, the reboot is giving people a fresh start. It's also putting their body into a state to where they can actually feel the maximum effects of ketones. And to me, I think we've done everyone an injustice, and this is my fault. You've pushed me, other people push me. So like when someone's coming on board and they're in a buying decision, I want to do the reboot. Well, let's excel your program. So as soon as you're through with the cleansing portion of it or the fasting portion, you know, you can pick how you want to eat. You're going to coach them on some, you know, flex dieting, different, let them choose their direction. But the point is that the ketone supplements that we have should be a staple. So the reason we did the Excel program is so, look, the keto cream is put in there because a lot of times you want to keep this rebooting going. And a great way to keep the rebooting going is mimic the reboot by doing intermittent fasting 3 or 4 times a week, right? The great way to do intermittent fasting so you can stay satiated is in the morning, drink a cream. And then the MCT oil in the cream does one thing. It helps your body endogenously increase the production of ketones, right? We give them our Keto OS. Why? Because you want to keep taking, you know, pure therapeutic ketones so they stay in your blood. And to me, the greatest effect is your brain needs fuel to operate, right? Your brain operates off 2 different fuels, glucose or ketones. And so for most people, they've never experienced life with using this. This is a fuel source first and foremost. And I think one of the reasons why we are the authority, the gold standard, is because we didn't come in and try to say it's our way or the highway. I never forget, Rob, and I know I'm getting long-winded, but I have a lot of passion to this. I'll never forget some of the first events we did. We brought in some like real ketogenic people, and they scared the shit out of people. Like, listen, I mean, they just did. They scared me. But the reality of it was that was their lifestyle. But I would much rather have someone that's using ketones, eating any way that they want to, than not using ketones as a fuel source, because it does so many things to people's systems. We can't say what it's going to do for you because everybody's biochemistry is different. But the one thing we know for an absolute fact out of years of debate is that even when glucose is present, your body will still use ketones as a fuel source for signaling. It helps with optimizing your metabolics. And I think you talk about this a lot, Rob, is when you go through different stages of life or different eating or different stress patterns, your body is a smart computer. So it literally turns switches off and on. And the great thing about having ketones present, it gives it another fuel source, and those ketones communicate with that computer at a high level. And so to me, I see so many people do the reboot that they wait till the next reboot, right? And what we want to do is make sure that they don't have any gaps without ketones, so we can actually keep them excelling forward in their progress, right? So to me, the cream could be used as an accelerant of satiation if they want to, mimic the mimic reboot diet, we should call it. But, and they could do that to where their first meal's at 12 or 12:30, or they could reverse it, especially if they're focused on weight loss. Break your fast at like 8 or 9 or 7, but then don't eat after 6, but maybe take a keto cream at night, right? Because then you're reversing the process. And then the ketones, obviously, the bone broth, the Better Broth, which we're going to do a major campaign at the beginning of the year, is probably our most underrated product. Yep. To me, when people talk about health and fitness, it's very simple. Like, Robin, you've been this guy, I've been this guy. When you're in college, like, we want to look the part, right? We want to have the ripped abs, the big guns, but the older we get, we realize, holy shit, we have kids now. To me, health is vitality. It's energy, pure and simple, right? You want to move your body, you want to work out to get energy, not to kill yourself. And health and fitness is about creating longevity and sustainability. That's what Better Broth does, right? Like, plain and simple. And we don't talk enough about it because the ketone conversation is so big. But again, the Better Broth helps stimulate. Make this one meal a day, or make this one of your snacks throughout the day. The collagen production that it helps create in your body, and you talk a lot about this just from a structural standpoint. The ketones, it's constantly doing what? Amping the ketones in your body. So your body's constantly using those ketones as fuel, and the adaptation is easier. And then obviously the Signal OS, which in January you guys are going to see some amazing stuff on it, is one of the most decorated. I mean, there is dozens of patents that have gone in to Signal OS and the CMed 100. And you talk about, utilizing ketones. Listen, when your body doesn't use the ketones because your body hasn't adapted fully and your tissues are learning it, and your system's learning it, you excrete out what you don't use. Well, as you use Signal OS, because of the DNA component of it, it actually helps your body absorb more or learn how to utilize, because of the DNA signaling, more of the ketones. And it helps with lengthening, the telomeres, which is your anti-aging. It's the only ingredient featured in medical journals that's been proven to have real DNA repair. So now you're talking about the DNA is what's being communicated with the rest of your system. And so, we just thought this was a great opportunity for people that they already know that they want to participate in better and they want to optimize. So instead of having them wait to do the reboot and then try to get them to order the right products, we're putting too much earnest on some of the promoters or people that are just getting started to have to explain it. Let's just kind of share with them, hey, look, it's time for you to, if you want to reboot, that's great. If you want to excel after you reboot, then, get the Excel program so you can continue to excel after. And we'll have documentation that'll come out to everyone in the next 24 hours, 48 hours. We're going to put more copy about what I just shared with you all on the site, in the funnel. And then I know Rob's going to be doing a lot of talking about it along with others. And then tonight on the Prove It Promoter page, we're going to announce something really cool for all of the people that are really passionate about championing the reboot conversation. So you all don't want to miss that either.
Awesome, dude. So all of this to say is we've listened to the community. So many people are saying, hey, this is an excellent tool. The Keto Reboot is an incredible tool, but we need some help with optimization. So if you guys haven't, like, we talk about tools a lot and being the tool or pointing people to tools. This is one of the greatest tools. And when you open it up and you look at literally one of the first pages under these keto quests, the first one is ketones create compliance. You know, what set us apart is not just the ketones, it's our ketone formulation. And that's kind of the goal behind this Excel pack, is it's going to well formulate what it means to go even, dare I say, a pre-boot, where you could even use the Better Broth as a pre-boot to start cutting down on your calories, easing into this 60-hour reboot, and then as you come out, continue to maximize the optimization. So, Brian, I can't tell you how important it is. I love it when you talk about, ooh, French onion Better Broth. What else you got?
Well, that's it for right now, but this stuff's really, really good. One of the things is people want more flavors of the broth, that, you know, their palates kind of get accustomed to it. So we're going to try to get this out before we start the reboot for those that actually want to check back in when we flash this. There'll be limited supply of it, but we are going to try to announce this so people can actually get it, just to have variety before their reboot.
Awesome. So everyone, look, I would just tie this up in a neat bow by saying, who are your accountability partners and who are your lifelines? Accountability partners are people that they're raising their hand and they're saying, you know what? I've never rebooted my body. I don't need to be a mechanic to know when I change the oil in my truck and I rotate the tires and I give it a monthly tune-up, it will run better and last longer. That's the equivalent of what we're doing to our body. So go find a couple of people that'll raise their hand and say, I want to be an accountability partner. I want to do the reboot. Send them your link. By the way, an incredible marketing tool is your referral code proveitnow.com/keto reboot. It's very seamless how that communicates with your Pulse app, also your email on file, and you'll see as prospects start inquiring about the keto reboot. Number one. Number two, lifelines. Those are just people that are going to support you along the way, and make sure that you're reaching out to people and say, hey, I've got this upcoming fast, this keto reboot, we call it in Prove It World. Would you be someone that could help support me through that process? And then it just opens up dialogue, and then maybe add them into this group, and then maybe share them this video. Because Brian, I love what you said. You're very passionate about the end game. Like, if there's one benefit that everybody wants, from a 2-year-old to an 82-year-old, we all want to age well. We want to age well. We want to think sharp. We want to keep, preserve, protect muscle. And I think that's what this reboot, that's what the Reboot Excel, and that is the whole philosophy behind the better DNA behind Prove It's customer acquisition by educating the masses. So thank you so much for being on. Any last comments?
Well, I mean, if you want to take a few questions from the people, I'd just love to see where people are at, what they think about the Excel program. Again, I would look at this as like, you know, this is the beta of the Excel. So we'll just build on it. You know, and then the other thing, Rob, is you talked about like longevity. And to me, I never thought about longevity, you know, and I know you went through the same experience. Like, I'm watching my dad age backwards, right? Like, I'm watching him deteriorate in front of my eyes, and he's 80 years old. I think I told you, spent the night in the hospital with him 2 nights ago. And, you know, this guy used to have all kinds of vitality. Now, he worked out his whole life. And I just think to myself, like, you know, your bones and your structure and the way you age, they start deteriorating as you get older. But like, now we have science that, like, even your brain, like the fuel in your brain, like after 30 years old, you got to think it's just like a car battery. You know, the more you use that battery, the more it becomes corroded, and then electricity can't get to the car. Electricity is not getting to some people's wiring or light bulbs in their brain because of their fuel source. Like, it's deconditioned to glucose. And so, you know, like the collagen or like the Better Broth and the minerals to help with that joint structure. And, you know, I thank God every day my dad hasn't had any spills, you know, but he's getting more feeble. But like, sometimes that accelerates as we get older because people don't have that bone structure or the cartilage and the stuff that holds everything together. And I know that's kind of random, but when you said that, it just made me think like, you know, I'm kind of at this age now, you know, and you've been through it, you have kids. And so, you know, I wasn't compliant. All my energy was going into business, and I wasn't taking care of myself. And my son's asking me to go downstairs and play basketball, and like, I'm just beat because of all the stress and energy of work that, like, I'm like, I have to have more energy and vitality. And to me, if there's any one thing I can say about ketones, is ketones does that. It preserves your muscle, longevity. It gives you more fuel to operate at a higher level for longer. And so anyway, I was just commenting on that because I've never had the perspective I do now of how much I need vitality. And then all of a sudden, you know, we're not getting younger. Life goes on. So that component of it.
Yep. Well, looks like the Excel kit has been a hit. What questions do you have, Brian? I'll throw one out. You know, in this offer, y'all just understand when we say $349, like you're getting multiple meals, multiple servings, multiple snacks, but you're also getting the training, the instruction, the education. So real quickly, Brian, talk about, you know, some of these live Zooms with Dr. Ryan Lowry, just to get his perspective, because I think what makes our community so sticky and so powerful is we don't sell you a transactional, we don't walk you through a transactional process and say, hey, follow the directions, go get it. You know, we're rooting you on. We want to walk with you hand in hand. That's why we have the Keto Reboot Facebook page. That's why we're now even offering additional instruction. So, you know, they're going to get virtual coaching with you, with Dr. Ryan Lowry and other coaches throughout the process. I think that's vitally important.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the one thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure people realize, to me, the value that we offer isn't just the value of the science and the technology that people buy. The value is having one-on-one time with thought leaders, you know, being able to have the endorsement. You know, I mean, some of the level of intelligence and the level of science and training and research and studies that's behind everything we're doing at Prove It. I mean, it's mind-boggling. You know, to have the endorsement, indirect endorsement, and you know, someone like Dr. Ken Ford that's always showing up at our events and diving into our community, that's priceless, right? Or Dr. Ryan Lowry and some of the work he's doing, from even moving forward into, you know, stem cells is one of the things that we're looking at, you know, as the next frontier. But to be able to have him laser coaching you through excelling, because once you reboot, like, build momentum on that, right? It's a building block. You know, to be able to, you couldn't hire him to spend an hour a week with you right now because of his schedule. Like, his time is more valuable than that right now, especially with the demand that we're putting on him and the marketplace is. And so I think that those are inevitable things. Like, through the Excel program, we wanted people to literally see, you know, all of this value. It's just like the meal guide or the recipes for people that want to eat, you know, more of keto-ish or keto flex or ketogenic. You know, we're taking the guesswork out of it. Like, there's people that literally sell the same amount of recipes for $40, $50, $60 online, or $20 online. And so we want to make sure people realize that the community is the value, and that is priceless. So plug into those resources, because it does two things, Rob. It's like you said, it lets you know you're not on a desert island. It also allows you, you know, if you want to walk through a minefield, follow somebody. It allows you a hack to go further, faster in your journey for optimizing yourself, to get better energy, better fuel, better sustainability, better longevity. And you know, for us, we have not been real strict on telling people this is how you should eat and why you should eat it, because I believe everyone's different. One of the things we're going to be moving forward into next year is giving people options so they have these guidelines. Someone asked earlier on the thread, is this 20 or 30 day? Well, you know, for us, it's filling the gap. It depends on how you're going to utilize it. It's not a set structure. It's not rigid. What I would tell you is take 2 to 3 ketones, but this gives you enough to see how you want to utilize it by plugging into the coaching to be able to go ahead and order 2 more boxes of ketones, or maybe ordering a different flavor of better broth. So I would say it fills the gap, right? So there's probably about 20 days in between one reboot and the next, right? Or 30 days. So it fills the gap to getting your orders in, or to making sure that you have plenty of ketones on hand, and our technology to keep your body optimizing. So that's what the Excel program does. It covers the gap to get you to where you want to go. And for some people, you know, the thing I love about the reboot, for some, it tricks people into shifting their lifestyle for better, right? And so we want to me, fitness is about nudging. It's not about saying, hey, let's go do this 90-day challenge. I think today these 90-day challenges scare the heck out of people, because look, if people aren't disciplined in the first place, then what makes you think that they're going to commit to 90 days? Some will, because the pain is so bad. However, I think everyone looks at it and goes, well, 60 hours. Okay, and I have my friends doing it, I can do that. But then after the 60 hours, build momentum on it. Like, don't lose momentum. Okay, now if I can go for another couple weeks, I can do that, especially I'm enjoying these products. And I'm having all this education, this mental fitness that's nudging me forward. And that's how you build momentum.
I think progress.
Did that answer your question?
I think progress is one of the most important words. And I think over the course of the 60 hours, people learn so much about themselves. Like, the physical's given and people show up as expecting all of these physical benefits, which they're well rooted in science. But the neatest thing for me is the emotional, the even spiritual, the psychological benefits and breakthroughs that people experience setting a goal 60 hours without food. That's a stiff goal. That's something that is attainable. And then when someone achieves that, now all of a sudden they are positioned themselves, to win. Now this whole reboot optimization and this Excel kit is just designed to come in behind you and support that. Last thing I'll say, Brian, is maybe there's rumor that we might expand upon the Keto Reboot certification coming up at Epic, with these new products, with this new program, just kind of identifying, giving people reason to show up at Epic. Yes, it's fun. Yes,
certification reboot program at Epic.
What's that?
I was just reminding them to mark that down and make sure that gets on the schedule, the reboot certification program. No, you're right. I mean, it's huge.
Because this can be a movement. Like, we have impacted tens of thousands of people literally around the world, where we don't even sell, prove it, or we're not open for business. There's people in Saudi Arabia that are using our reboot kit each and every month. And I think the more we can equip people with these certification programs, with these updated programs, having thought leaders like Dr. Ryan, having, a CEO that'll take time out of his Sunday afternoon to share what is the ultimate goal. I just think that's super powerful and important for people to know. You can play a role here. Like, everyone, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter who you are, you have a role here that if you take it seriously, you can impact lives beyond what you could ever imagine. I think that's the coolest part.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think is cool about the reboot is everyone's getting geared up to do it. Is like, number one, invite a friend. If you're in it, invite a friend. Invite a friend that hasn't done it. Invite a friend that's done it, but they haven't done it with you in a couple months. There's always strength in group dynamics. That's human behavior. And they're not going, look, to me, food is energy. And the cool thing about the reboot program that really, Rob and Shane spearheaded early on, and I think this should be talked about a lot, like, we're going with energy. So, like, food is energy. Most people that do these fasting programs, they're not giving you any energy, right? I mean, your body will start converting some of the fat to energy, but, like, we're actually giving you energy, and we're protecting your muscle through this program, so you're not getting this catabolic state. And so I think that we want people to learn more about some of the experiences. We don't necessarily need people to be directors, but to be certified as a coach, to be able to go online as an authority, to let people know that you have an awareness that 99% of the people in the world do not have. However, the awareness of the human structure, the human body, the biochemistry that has been around since the beginning of time, that we have just not unleashed. We have not hacked into this resource that helps us create more efficiency in our life. That's very cool. And so we will do that at Epic. Epic is going to be epic, no doubt. We're going to be releasing a bunch of information on it next week, next 2 weeks. It'll be in February. And, to me, it's like we said, Rob, every month we want to come up with another fun campaign. But, like, to me, reboot this month. Why? So you can look good in your Christmas sweater, right? So my wife came up with that. I thought it was, like, really creative. But that's marketing too. And, Rob does an excellent job with it. And so does so many of you on the line, is that, like, people don't want to be sold. And that's why we have been able to create a movement. People want to participate. People want to learn. People want to experience. And you have to make it fun. And at the end of the day, we wouldn't be on this phone if people were not getting the experiences that they're getting. And that is just the plain fact. And so I think that one of the things you can rest assured of is that you're giving a huge amount of value and a gift to anyone that participates. And I really would say that's the thing I'm the most proud of. I would love to say that, hey, I'm just this genius of a guy that created ketones. No, I think we were in the right place at the right time, and we had the courage to take a chance when the rest of the world was denying something and they didn't truly understand it. And we didn't truly understand it. We learned it, and we've learned so much. Like, I want you all to think, We have over 100 million experiences out there. And the anecdotal experiences that people have experienced from the reboot and from ketones and from the ketone operating system and utilizing that in their body, it would blow you away to see the thousands and the thousands and the thousands. And some people could say, I've always said this, man, sometimes I talk about this and it sounds like I'm selling snake oil, but it's not. Like, it's all, you can like really draw and connect the dots to the science. It's just no one's ever experienced it. No one's ever commercialized this to where people could have the ability to utilize ketones as a fuel and to reboot their system to be able to even, optimize that. And that's the thing that I think anyone on here that you're sharing this conversation with people, you're sharing the Prove It message. Prove It is more than just selling a product. I mean, it truly is. And that's the thing I'm most proud of is like, listen, if everything came crashing down tomorrow in the world, right, is I know for a fact that we have made people's lives better. And no matter what anyone does, you should have ketones in your system as fuel every single day of your life. Like, you're doing your body an injustice. This isn't a luxury. This is a necessity that I truly believe. Once you experience it, you understand. And I've always said this to people, Robin, if they haven't experienced a reboot, they need to experience it, right? Is because you don't know what something's like until you experience it. I always say, look, experience it. If you don't feel like you're feeling anything, then stop. And I guarantee you, when you stop after a week, you'll realize the contrast. And so if you're using ketones now and you've never been through a reboot and really done it, do the reboot, but then be compliant after it, like accelerate after it, right? And just watch how the multiple you get on the efficiency and the energy, the brain, the firing of your brain, the focus, and it's pretty amazing. So,
well, look, I want to close out by just, Brian, thank you so much. Like, I don't think you realize how important your voice is and the certainty in your voice when you talk about the science. Like, it's hard enough to lead a $500 million company, be the CEO, and do all of the daily interaction that is required. But to hear your passion talking about the actual product and the program goes so far with this community. So if you guys agree, throw up some hearts and likes, just because I think it's that important to hear what this is all about, where it began, and how we can make a difference in the world moving forward. So, buddy, thank you so much.
I appreciate it. And look, we have people here working on Sunday. Say hi, Malia. Say hi, Lauren. Then we have a special guest. Where is he? Oh,
okay.
So,
awesome.
So we're having a lot of fun. Let's check in time to time, guys. Accelerate. If you're part of Prove It and you're part of like really champion this message with us, go to the Prove It promoter page tonight. I think it's 9:15. We're gonna make a special announcement around this fun reboot. This is the time to reboot. Like, this month and next month is the time to reboot. Go into 2019 on a high. I appreciate everything that you do, Rob. You're freaking awesome. Love your hat, and I love your wolf.
Thank you.
So, with that being said,
all right,
talk to you guys soon.
Everybody have an awesome Sunday. Tune in tonight. Prove It Promoter Facebook page. If you're just a customer and you start thinking, you know what, this makes more and more sense the more and more I'm around this community, reach out to the person that is your Prove It promoter and ask them questions about what it means to be a promoter. I might want to sit into this and hear more about the details of this upcoming contest. So with that, y'all have an awesome Sunday afternoon. We'll catch you at 9:15 Eastern Standard Time tonight to hear details of the Keto Reboot sales contest. So thanks so much. Have an awesome Sunday.